Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Anna Manuel. Watkins Glen International is still humming with excitement after the triple header race this weekend. Our Maggie Hall has coverage of the NASCAR Cup Series race.
And with that, a highly anticipated race weekend is over. Stay tuned for our Big Fox coverage along with an interview from the winner. Watkins Glen International announced on race day that the Go Bowling at the Glen's grandstand sold out for the 8th consecutive year. Fans packed the stands to watch their favorite racers take on the challenge of the Watkins Glen road course. 3 of those fans are the Beal family, who told me you can't just pick one thing to love about NASCAR.
The excitement, the roar of those motors running down the track.
Left turns, because that's what everybody complains about.
Watkins Glen International is one of the most well-known road courses in the NASCAR Cup Series. Race winner William Byron secured his first ever road course win at the track.
Yeah, I love this racetrack. We were talking about it on the way up here. Just love the area, love the scenery, and when you enjoy a racetrack, usually that's good for results, and just had that feeling coming here.
There are 2 races to go in the NASCAR Cup Series, and Byron has safely secured his place in the playoff bubble. Last year's Watkins Glen International winner Kyle Larson and Byron's teammate joins him in the playoff bubble with the number 5 standing. I asked William Byron if there was a moment during yesterday's race when he realized he would be earning the checkered flag.
I never thought about the win per se, maybe with 1 lap to go, but I just thought about the possibility of winning, and what that would take, and just had a feeling coming into today that we had a really strong car, and it was just going to be a matter of trying to put all the pieces together. So we did. We executed really, really good on restarts, really good on pit road, and came away with it.
We here at Big Fox News look forward to returning to Watkins Glen International next year. Maggie Hall, Big Fox News, Watkins Glen.
Go Bowling has re-signed their contract with Watkins Glen International Raceway. The title sponsor of WGI has signed on to continue their partnership with the track in a multi-year deal. At this time, it's unclear how many more years the 2 organizations have agreed to. The partnership has existed since 2018. The Department of Health has reported numbers of Lyme disease increasing in New York State. New York has averaged 5,500 new cases a year, with numbers rising in the past few years. Lyme disease is a bacterial infection that spreads with a bite from a deer tick, the most common tick in New York State. When outside, New Yorkers should always check for ticks and consider using repellents. Pennsylvania could see large businesses move to a 4-day work week if a bill wins passage. Pennsylvania State Representative Ronnie Green, a Democrat, says she will introduce legislation this week that would require businesses of 500 or more to move to a 4-day work week without a reduction in pay. Green says societal needs have shifted since 1938, when a 40-hour work week schedule was adopted. Green also says research shows productivity doesn't drop with shorter work weeks, and families can use the time for personal responsibilities and better mental health. The requirement would exclude small and mid-sized businesses. Thinking there's nothing for him to gain with such a huge lead in the polls, former President Trump said on Truth Social he is skipping this week's GOP debate, and that leaves an opening for other candidates to make a splash. Caroline Shively reports.
In an all-caps announcement, former President Trump says he's out. He will not be participating in the GOP debate Wednesday, arguing the public knows who I am and what a successful presidency I had. One of his opponents has a different take.
Donald Trump is afraid to go on the debate stage and answer for being a proven loser.
Without the frontrunner on stage, the other candidates hope to break from the pack.
We know that America is looking for alternatives.
I'm looking to introduce myself to the country.
One of my goals in that debate is for the American people, Republican primary voters, to get to know me in a little bit broader context.
While Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who is consistently number 2 in national polls, is unlikely to take a shot at Trump, skipping the debate could leave him vulnerable to attack. But his rivals will have to do it without turning off voters.
I wish that everyone will play fair and they will fight fair, and I hope that they don't attack one another.
Congressional Republicans have been careful not to offend Trump, But on Sunday, Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana said he thinks it's time for the former president to drop out.
Obviously, that's up to him. I mean, you're just asking my opinion, but he will lose to Joe Biden if you look at the current polls.
Trump has until noon Friday to turn himself in at the Fulton County Jail for processing on charges related to trying to overturn his 2020 election loss in Georgia. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
Tropical storm Hillary pummeling California over the weekend with torrential rains, leaving Southern California residents assessing the damage today. Jeff Paul has the latest from Los Angeles.
Hillary dropping record-breaking rains after making landfall Sunday afternoon as the first tropical storm hit Southern California in 84 years. Some areas seeing more than a half a year's worth of rain in just a day.
If you don't have a metric for what that's really like, you've never experienced it, especially in the place like the desert, it kind of almost doesn't even feel real.
California Governor Gavin Newsom declaring a state of emergency. Thousands left without power. The rain made driving not only difficult, but dangerous as streets flooded with water. And dry terrain combined with all the water, leaving the threat of mudslides.
It just about stopped at my house. I had a little bit of mud that last time, but this time it was a river down the road with logs and boulders and everything.
And if all the flooding wasn't bad enough, in the middle of this historic storm, the region was rattled by a 5.1 magnitude earthquake Sunday afternoon, followed by several small aftershocks.
It wasn't a up and down, it was a kind of a side to side thing. So I kind of felt a little bit of like a vibration, and I felt that feeling before. And I looked at my closet and my clothes were kind of, doing this.
Hillary, now a post-tropical storm, is making its way north. Nevada already under a state of emergency as the torrential rains head their way. So far here in California, there have been no reports of any serious injuries or deaths due to Tropical Storm Hillary. In Los Angeles, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
President Biden and First Lady Dr. Jill Biden were in Hawaii today. They visited Maui, the island still reeling after the devastating wildfires that tore through the town of Lahaina. Meanwhile, in Maui, Biden met with survivors, first responders, and government officials. More than 115 people are dead and hundreds more are still missing. Biden left from Lake Tahoe, California, where he's vacationing for the week with his family. Subway sandwich shop might get gobbled up soon. The Wall Street Journal says that Roark Capital is close to a deal to buy the chain for about $9.6 billion. Subway has been owned by its two founding families for more than 5 decades. The Journal reported in January that the company was exploring a sale. In February, Subway announced it had retained advisors to help run the process. Subway is the 8th largest U.S. restaurant chain, with $9.8 billion in domestic sales. Still ahead, we have your complete forecast. Plus, a former inmate has turned his life around and started a food truck. The story behind prison pies, still ahead.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Good evening. After staying fairly active last week, those conditions started to become a bit more quiet, giving us a fall-like feel. And we're seeing another push of that fall-like feel in places. A cold front has been dropping its way across the state. And this evening, that is allowing for those winds to be coming out of the north, but staying on the lighter side. So with light winds, clearing skies, that will cool those temperatures down into those 50s. So a comfortable overnight if you want some of that open window weather again as we approach 55 into Elmira, Westfield there around 53, Watkins Glen 54, Wayland just around 54 degrees as well. Now we're seeing that following that cold front, a nice high pressure system is stepping in. We'll take a look at that national outlook here in a moment, but we're talking bright and mild conditions through Wednesday, looking near seasonal, definitely still at times some of that cooler feel trying to edge in as we get closer and closer to fall, which we are looking at that fall equinox about a month away. Now we will be timing out a quick system to give us another chance for some rainfall coming for the end of the week. looking to bring us some impacts from about Thursday through Friday, and then we'll get another fall-like feel following that system with another pretty strong cold front passage. But again, it's going to usher in a high pressure system that will give us that sunshine. Now, what we have setting up here across the continental United States, what we have is that we have this very strong high pressure system. So lots of news coming from the heat dome that is building from portions of Texas all the way up through portions of the Great Lakes. As we sit on that far side of that high pressure system and another high pressure system across portions of the Hudson Bay dropping towards portions of the Great Lakes, it feels in more of this northerly wind, which keeps us cooler. So we are cooler just outside of that heat dome, as moisture is a bigger emphasis from portions of Mexico all the way up the western states from some tropical systems that are keeping some active weather around. But as mentioned, for here locally, we are talking dry weather and pleasant weather. 77, so still a little bit of that cooler feel following that cold front. Tomorrow is our average is about lower 80s. 70s is definitely going to be more of our common trend, but we'll watch that the light winds will start to steer as we head into our Wednesday, getting us closer to those 80s. So as we look at area wide, anywhere from those low to mid 70s, we'll see on Wednesday with this light wind that is starting to steer, starts to try to edge those temperatures closer to those 80s. Note that as we step into this time of the year as well, the days are starting to show less daylight as we work towards that fall equinox, which that also starts to bring down that average high. So by the end of the week, our average high is going to be approaching those 70s. So sitting into these 70s, not too bad for this time of the year. As mentioned, by Thursday, that system is going to be moving in. It is a strong system, so it is going to send in some strong southerly winds, getting gusts up to about 20 to 30 miles per hour. It's also going to create a pretty sticky atmosphere as it pulls in that moisture from the southeast. So pulling some of that Atlantic moisture in creates that stickiness, but also fuels up the chance for some stronger storms and some heavier downpours. We'll linger under that low pressure system through Friday before we will get that northerly push into the weekend, which brings sunshine, but more of those fall-like temperatures.